Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. It's about August 26th. It's going to be a nice day here in Agawam, Massachusetts. This is a little post-taping pre-introduction to the second video on the Ghost series for this segment. I'm going to do the one you just saw that was just released was on getting the engine together, primarily together, and the next one you're going to see is us getting the parts that we had to wait for, about a 3-week wait to get them in onto the motor, and then the motor into the car, and then some wrap up so we can put it down and we can get the headers and stuff onto it. So a little pre view here. This is the state it is now, because a lot of the stuff that you're about to see on this video has already been taped, and I had to do a post because we had to break it up. We just had too much material. So go ahead and enjoy the video. There'll probably be one more after this as we wrap up everything for this segment here on the Ghost project, and hopefully end up with a roller. We'll find out. All right, we appreciate you guys. So hang in there and watch. Also, if you noticed, the vet was moved from one side of the shop into the other side. We did a little boat and car Tetris. That's on the behind the scene episode, so if you want to take a look at that, you can go ahead and do that. But prior to that, enjoy the engine coming together, getting stuffed in, and all the stuff that associated with that. All right, so we finally got parts coming in. I know for you it's been like what, a couple seconds here since this bleeped up, but it's been about 3 weeks for all the parts that come in that we were missing, that we forgot to order, or that we just plain missed. Okay, so we're getting this motor assembled and getting ready to drop it in Ghost here. So what we've got is we've got the fuel pump on, and that needed a kit for the, because it had the big mounting and the fuel pump's a small mounting one. So we had to put that on. And you know the little trick, right? This little bolt hole that has this bolt in it here. If you use a longer bolt, you could hold the push rod, push it up, put it in. Don't forget to take it out. And then when you put your shorter bolt back in, make sure you seal it with something or it'll leak. We've got the starter on over here. And if I can get you low enough, the inspection plate for the clutch is on there too. We've got a 1/16 shim in it just to start. We'll make adjustments either up or down. Once we get it in, we try and fire it up. This is a normal bolt that has a star washer on it. The bolt kit that I ordered came with a long and a short. It's supposed to have 2 longs. So this doesn't have the knurling on it. And what the knurling does is when it gets up in here is what locks it in. But I got a star washer on it, and we'll switch that out. I've got another one to order. We'll switch that out when we do the adjustments for the shims to get the right bolt. But that is installed over there. We also have the oil pad. I'm going to turn you upside down here so you can see it. Right, and well, you probably can't see it because it's dark down there. So let's turn the light on. And now let's try it. There's the oil pad right there. All mounted up and ready to go for an oil pump to go, oil filter, sorry, not an oil pump, but an oil filter to go on that. And I just showed you the top of the roof. Now, what we're doing now is we're getting the harmonic balancer on. And I wanted to show you what we're doing here, because the way that I put them on is I just press them on with the bolts and the, not kit, or the washer that comes. But the washer that comes with is much bigger, okay? It's fatter. And when you first put that on, it isn't going to fit. So you got to shrink it down and use thinner washers, get it to seat a little bit. Then you can go back and use the heavier one. You also have to be cautious about how you do this, because it gets tighter and tighter and tighter as it slips on. So what I do is I go ahead and I tighten it until I get to a point where it stops. And then I take it and I tap it, let's show you, with my dead blow or my mallet here around to get that to inch up. The vibrations from doing the tapping help it to seat. Okay, and you'll feel it. It will loosen up on you. Let's go put this on and see if it's loosened up for us. Yep, see it there, it's loosened up again. So I can go ahead and I can tighten it up just a little bit more. It takes time, but it definitely works to press it on. So we'll do that, and then we'll tap it up a little bit more to get it to seat, and it'll put on there. There's most definitely quicker ways to do that. I use a little lube on the snout and on the interior of it, Remember, this one was a little rusty. If you remember, I cleaned it up so we could get it on better, but I'm sure that there's on the crank snout, I don't know if you can see it down there, it's most definitely seating, it's sliding on, but it's a real tight fit. So we're going to go and we're going to continue to do that, and we'll come back to you guys once it's fully seated. But I did want to show you the technique and the caution to be careful, because you'll gall your threads or pull them out if you try to clink it down. And don't use an impact hammer, just use that good old breaker bar with a socket, and I'm using 3/8 so I don't put too much on it. You can use a half, but just be careful, because you don't want to put too much on it and cause it to strip out, because you got too much pressure on the bolt. So we'll be right back just as soon as we got it seated. All right there, so the engine's ready to go in. We got it up on the cherry picker, getting it ready to push in. It's all lined up. Harmonic balancer slid right on. We got it positioned, tapped it a little bit, and then it just whoop, went right up. We said we got the fuel pump on, we've got the cover on, we've got the oil pad insert taken care of, and I am not going to walk under the thing. We've got the starter on. The only thing we don't have on the starter is this has provision for back support. So once we have it in there and we got it, I want to make sure that everything's clearing and everything's good. We'll go ahead and we'll put that in. I think the headers come right out and go down like this, so we should be fine. We'll be get right up there when we go to hook everything up. We'll get a piece of strap steel and we'll go ahead and put it up there just for a back support. I put a little oil into the cylinders just to get them because once we get it in there, we'll put oil in it and we'll crank it over and do that type of stuff. For all along, we're going to do just like we did the last time when you saw it, when we set it up to mock it up to make sure that we had everything in the right place for the clutch. We're going to set this transmission. You see we've got the mount down here on it. Rested on the core support. So we take pressure off. That way we can go ahead and release this line that's keeping it level. And then we'll pump it up. It'll let it drop down like this, or your fruit like that. And let's go ahead and slide in. Once we got it in, we'll get everything aligned down in underneath there. Make sure everything is kosher. We got little things to take care of once we do that, because the speedometer line comes out on a different side from the automatic, so we may have to lengthen that line, but we'll find out what it is. I'm going to set you up on the tripod, let you take a look at what's going on, and probably go into warp speed mode so you don't have to sit there, because it'll probably take a little bit to get this all done. So hang tight, enjoy the view, and probably the catchy tune that's going to be playing. Alrighty, since I have a camera shy's crew, we got it though. We're in there. It fought us a little bit. We had to do some shimmying to get the bolts in. This one's in the back. I'll tap that in a little bit further. Let me give me some, oh, where the heck is my cover? Anyway, let me give you some light so you can see. We're in down there. I'm gonna tap that bolt in a little bit further. And on this side of the motor, you notice we have a fuel pump in the way, so we put it in the other direction. So I'm gonna have to shimmy Cocoa Puff it with a bar and get the bolts on it. But in terms of the nuts, right, to cinch everything up, but everything else is there. We got everything lined up. We got to put the back brace on yet. It's just supported by the jack in the back, but it's in, and she's in her new home. And we had to shimmy her a little bit, but otherwise she's in pretty good shape. So let's go ahead and get set up for the next phase here, and we'll turn off that blinding light, white lighter, and stop strobing. There we go. We'll go ahead and we'll get this all set up and show you the next phase of it. Getting it all bolted in, getting everything set up, getting the exhaust in there, getting the clutch pieces set up down there, and getting the clutch rod in, adjusting the clutch, and doing all that type of stuff. Now we'll come to the front end and we'll get the appropriate, because we got to get the front end package, all the pulleys and stuff that weren't with it. And you have to buy Corvette specific when you do that, so it lines up even if you don't have a Corvette motor in there. Otherwise you're going to be fighting it like crazy, and we don't want to fight it. And we'll just see where we get, and we should be cruising here hopefully soon, because once we got it in and we got that going, and we can get this motor fired up, there's no reason it won't move. We might not have a bunch of brakes, but obviously we need to put a master cylinder on and get everything hooked up, and we'll see where the brakes are in that shape. But anyways, she's in, we're ready to fly. All right, so we'll see you in just a little bit here. Sit tight. Right, good morning, and we're back. It's the next day since you saw that little last segment there on dropping this in, and as you can see, let's do a little update. She's in there, the bolts are in, they're not nutted and tightened up yet, but we'll go ahead and we'll do that here real soon, as you can see. We're gonna do some things before we go ahead and put those headers on, which is the next major thing. We did go underneath the car here, let me show you, and we got the cross member all in, including the cross bolt, although I got to tighten the cross bolts up for that. We're going to need to loosen the rubber absorber up there and pop it over a little bit, because we're a little bit misaligned on the supports for the transmission, but we'll get that all taken care of, get everything lined up. The drive shaft we're going to have to pull off and have shortened. I got to make a measurement. Apparently this is a little bit longer assembly than with the automatic in there, so we're going to have to go and do that. But I got a couple behind the scenes things I need to do here in order to facilitate doing this. As you have noticed, I'm sure many times, we have very flat front tires on the front of this car. Right there. I have one right here that's holding air that we can put on, but I need one more. And the reason we want to do that is I think we want to go over here to the lift booth and play a little bit of boat car Tetris and swap the bays for these, so I can get this over on the lift, because a lot of this stuff will just be plain easier on the lift. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to get things set up, and here I am strobing on you again. I'm sorry about that. We'll get that all set up and bring you back in, because make it a whole lot easier for putting the side pipes on and getting all the linkages underneath on the clutch and all that type of stuff set up. So we got the lift, we might as well use it, right? So we're going to go ahead and do that, get all set up, and we'll come back into you guys. So just hang tight and we'll be right back. All right, so we're back at it. As you can see, we got Ghost up on the lift. Yeah, we got her moved over and we got her up on the lift. I want to show you a couple things while she's up here and tell you what we're going to do, and then we'll set you up to take a look at things. So there's a couple things I already have done, because I wanted to make sure everything was kosher. Is we've got the train support completely in here with cross bolts and the regular bolts. Had to loosen everything up. We've got the bolts in for the snubber on it, and all that's all lined up and in good shape for that. We're going to have to pull, as you can see here, the drive shaft. We want to put new stuff on it, right? But we also have to get it cut down, because if you look, you pop it up here, see how close it is. The transmission combination with the engine's too long, and I got to get a yoke for it. I'll have to check and see if the yoke I have it, or I have to get another one. But probably, I would say at least 2.5 inches. We're going to probably have to shorten that. We'll make some measurements for that. What we're going to do next while it's up is go ahead and see where we come out here. You can see this is where the cable's coming forward. That's for the e-brake stuff. No, that's for the shifter. That's the shifter cable that goes forward. So we're coming right up into the right spot. The speedo cable has gone up and over right now. We may have to relocate that, but it's got a 90-degree here, which I think that if we turn, we can get it to go in there. We'll be able to use it. If not, we'll have to do appropriate things there. But what we want to do while we have it up is this type of stuff. Like, I'm going to replace this because you can see where it cracked there when I went to move it. The ground line will go on. We'll get the wiring on this connected to the starter. We'll put a support bracket in place, since how we got good access on the back to support the back of that. This is power steering pump lines. Will have to go up and forward. We're going to go ahead and put the cross shaft for the clutch in while we're up, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get all the pedal stuff connected here and there, and make sure that we got the pedal arranged. So once we're done underneath here, all this is tightened up now, the mounts. Once we're done underneath here, ouch, watch out for the lift, and we got everything together. Here we'll put it down and we'll put the headers on, because the headers easier to do on the ground. You have to lift them way up and then you have to support them, and you still got to get up here to go ahead and get them on the thing. So we'll do the headers with the lift down and not underneath it. They come out and they come under in this area. We'll go here. Now they use T-slots. Now I got T-bracket holes. I'm hoping that they designed them to line up right with these T-holes right here, and I think they can, because you put the T's in, you turn them this way, and then you bolt everything up, and if it is, it's going to be easy peasy assembly on there. So I've already inspected most of this, and all these bushings and all this stuff, it looks pretty good. I mean, we're going to go when we do upgrade parts and everything here, we'll go and we'll swap out everything, right, make everything new as we're putting performance parts out, and we're going to incrementally build it up. So we'll be in good shape here. See if I had the key for this and take that down. There's no tire in there, I don't believe. Nope. And we'll just do that general cleanup when we do that, and we'll make sure everything works. But she's up on the lift. Everything looks really good. Underneath her, we've got some of the stuff done already, and we'll do the other stuff, and we'll pull you in when we go to do that so you can see it and where we're at. So hang tight here, and we'll get right back to you. All right, we're underneath the vet here, and we've got some parts that came in, and we've been doing a couple little things off camera here, mostly investigation to see where we're at. But here we are. We're getting ready. We want to get the full drive line in, right, and get it all hooked up. We've pulled out the drive shaft, okay, and it's over here. We're going to clean it up. You can see where it's been rubbing a little bit. There's no grooves in it, just where it's been marked. We've got new universals for this when we ordered the yoke. I'll show you those in a second. We're going to clean this up. This is a correct drive shaft at the correct length, and it should, by everything that I've looked at, fit right, you know, put right in there. But what we're trying to do is get the drive line set up. We're going to get the brakes set up. I've got on order the pulley that goes on here. That should be showing up here shortly. We're going to pull the automatic cable stuff out. The shifter came in. Just got that today. Here's the new, we were missing the yoke, so we got the new correct yoke that goes in there, and I've already test fit that. That fits in there. These are the universals for the drive shaft, and these are 4 new universals for the short shafts. We're not going to do the short shafts yet, though. We'll do that when we do the suspension upgrades on that in the back. But we got the Hearst Competition Plus shifter, and the shift kit. So we can go ahead, we can mark where things need to go, where that shifter is going to pop up. Should be popping up right behind. Yeah, probably right. See, there's a bolt right there if you can see it. I'm not sure. I think my hand's in the way here. Let's get you up a little bit. That bolt right there is the shifter bolt for one of it, and then back here is the other one. So it's going to come right up where it's supposed to come. So we're in good shape there. If anybody knows what switch this is 3rd, 4th. So I don't know if that's a neutral safety. When it's in neutral, that has to be in that position or what. This is reverse, so it's not a reverse. You can see where it had a, we may have to get a reverse backup switch. That it's a little bracket that bolts onto these 2 bolts right here. And then it's got a little lever that comes on, so when it's in reverse, it goes ahead and it switches for the reverse backup lights, because we were automatic before. So we're gonna have to track all that down. The other thing we did is we put a, where are we in reference? Over here. Right here, and let me get you some light on that one. Right here we put a new, ordered 2 gauge, and we put a new grounding strap from the frame over here all the way over to the block. We also made a little aluminum touch. We got to put a nut on it for the back support on that, so we're all good there. We're going to also redo right here. I pulled this off to clean it to make sure we had a good ground connection, and everything disintegrated. So we pulled the negative battery cable out. We've got our cable over here. We're going to go ahead and make a new negative battery cable, and we got the positive too, because I think what we're going to do is run a whole brand new positive cable all the way down. It's not that hard to get to. It runs over here right up in the you can see it right here, right up in the thing, and it's got all little ties. So we'll just pull them off one at a time. We'll go put it up, route it back in there, and put new. The reason for that is it's a little stiff up at the front part. It's flexible back here, but it's really stiff here. And you can see it's already peeled and cracked. So let's not have any electrical problems while we're doing this. We'll go ahead and we'll clear that off. So we're going to make some steps here. I'll show you some of the stuff, like how I make cables and stuff like that, and then assembling some of the stuff under here. You can see that if we run into any trouble, we'll break away and then come back to it. Brake lines, they don't look terrible. It's got all Texas dirt on it. Okay, this is not, I mean, underneath this, it's super, super solid. All this discoloration here, you can see it. It's all Texas dirt, and underneath the frame, it's in pretty good shape, so it's kind of protected it. So let's go ahead and we'll get things set up, and I'll show you some more stuff as we're getting this in here. But again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the drive line all the way in so we can turn some tires when we put it down. So we're going to get that done. We'll drop it. We're going to go ahead and get the headers in and the side pipes all mounted. And then we'll get the clutch set up. So it's going to be up, down off of the lift. But we're cruising along. We got parts. So you just hang in there, and we'll have some more stuff coming up in just a second. All right, so let's go ahead and make a cable. So what I've done is I've cut 20 inches of the negative ground. This is 1 gauge. It says 0 gauge on it, so it could be 0 too, but it's supposed to be 1 gauge. And what I do is I just use my knife. Let's tilt you down here. And I just cut around it. At the terminal depth. Cut up it. Still need some more. Trying not to do is cut the conductors at all, so you can feel the difference when you get in there. Rubbing on it. Bend it back and forth a little bit, break that rubber. Twist it off, and as you're twisting, you'll twist the wires. Okay, then what I do is I test it. I want to make sure that it's going to fit right without too much. So I kind of go in sideways and twist it, and usually it does pop some of these out, but a strand or two isn't a big deal. Okay, then what I'm going to do is, of course, the other end will be stripped back, and we're going to put a side mount terminal, so that'll be clamped onto there, so that's no big deal. What we're going to do now is use my standard little butane torch, and you could use one of the smaller butanes, doesn't have to be this large. And let's look at the top of the right here, and rosin core solder. I'm going to go ahead and, now I don't like these terminals as much as others I've used because it's got a little slot in it. Usually what I do is I fill it up with solder, stick it in, and do it, but we'll solder the bottom up to the level where it's got the little slot, and then we'll probably have to crimp it, and then we'll put heat shrink on it. And we'll put some heat shrink on it in order to seal everything up, and then we'll attach it back on. But let's put a little bit more solder in there. It's still plenty hot. All right, I'll put this in, kind of go at an angle a little bit so we can turn it in, and then we'll push it down and turn it in. We're going to let it dry. Test it. Yep, got it nice and firm. Okay, good. So that's nice and soldered in there. Now what we're going to do anyways is we're going to go ahead and put it in here. We're going to give it a little crimp. Make sure that we're square. Just like that. Make sure we're squeezed. Then I've got a pre-cut piece of shrink tubing. We're just going to shrink it on there. You could really use a heat gun. It'll work in a pinch. There you go, one heavy gauge terminal. All right, so that's how I do those. Now we're going to go over and we're going to pop it on and push it up into the box. And then when the clamps come, we'll go ahead and insert those. But that's how we do that. All right, so we're going to get set up and we'll be back in a second. All right, so we're back. And what we're doing is we're trying to get the drivetrain together, right? So what we're doing now is I've reconditioned the drive shaft. We cleaned it off, we painted it, and we pressed on the one end here. New universal joints. And I wanted to show you how I do my universal joints. I got a 12 ton, I'm sorry, this is a 12-ton press. And what I like to do is I like to get the caps in each of them and just press them a little, and I keep, you know, I make sure it's wobbly, but then I just keep going to close the space up and keep turning it to make sure that it's lined up. And now that we've got everything well lined up, we can go ahead and we can put a little bit more pressure and send those guys home. So I just thought I would show you how I do these. Then it presses, you get them below the pin line, right, for over here for the clips on the top. You press one down in, get the clip on it, turn it over, and then press the other one past it to get the other clip on, and you should be just fine. I always pull the other end caps so that I don't lose them and stick them someplace safe. I have it from both of those right there. And then on the other end, both of them, the caps have cap covers that'll retain them instead of the clips. So we'll do that. I'll finish this up. I'll show you the finished product, and we'll get the yoke on it, and we'll see if we have the right length. It should fit, should be the same. All the information says it is, but we'll find out. We might have to do some shimmying around. So we'll be back just in a minute. Okay, we're back, and we have a drivetrain in. Scuffed up the brand new paint on it, but it's in there. You can see up in here, it's got brand new universal joints. Everything's torqued. It's torqued for the 15. They say 15 to 18 is what it is. When you're putting it in, make sure that you seat these, right? They got the little ears to keep them in. Make sure that they seat in there. I dropped this twice trying to get in there, so it's a royal pain. And the procedure is, when you take it, put it into the back first, especially on a Corvette. Onto the back first, get it in there, get it tight. Make sure that you've got this seated all the way up. It's going to have to come back a little bit, but you can't clear the yoke if you don't do that. And then you just tap it from the back, took a block of wood and just tapped it into place, was holding it and made sure that the ears all seated here. And I'm a little off. I may redo this one. You can see here where it's not quite cinched flat. Okay, we may be redoing that one. It's flat on this side and seated well. That torqued, which means it's probably not quite seated yet. So we're going to pull it off. We're going to loosen these up again and make sure that we get that one seated. It may have to go over a little bit. Looking at it now, it's seated in the ears. We'll play with it a little bit. Maybe we're off on our torque, but it all torqued to 15 foot-pounds. They say 15 to 18. I put it on the lighter side because I don't want vibration, nor do I want it coming apart. So we'll go and we're going to look at that just to verify it, and I'll bring it back in once we do that. But it's primarily there, just some tweaking to do to make sure everything's good. Just put a little grease on the seal, so it would slide in a lot easier. And you can put grease on the splines, but don't put a lot because you'll build pressure. It'll, it's a pretty tight seal, so you just want a little skim coat so it'll slide easier. But it's up and in there. As soon as we get the rest, we'll get the E-cable in. You can see we already talked about that. That's up. I got to do the other end on it. But the drivetrain is complete and together, with the exception of the clutch pedal. We got to do that. We have to put the headers in first, though, because otherwise it'll be in the way. All that the clutch and the Z-bar will be in the way, and we don't want them in the way. So we're at about the place where, let's see, we got to put the shifter in, but we got to pull stuff up out there. So probably what we'll do is we'll set it down. We'll go ahead and we'll do the headers. We'll get the headers in and get the side pipes on. They're going to sit up here, so they shouldn't be in the way. And then we'll put it back up, get the clutch all set up. We'll spin on a partially filled oil filter so it's all ready to go. And cut the holes and get the shifter going. So that's where we're on that now, but primarily we have the drivetrain in and little stuff like electrical there. And remember, we already showed you up in here where we put a new one onto the block, so we got good fresh electrical connections. All right, so we'll go away, do a little bit more, and we'll come back. If we get into anything exciting for assembly or anything like that, we'll bring you in and we'll show you that. But it's, it's all standard, pretty straightforward stuff. All right, so we'll be back. Okay guys, so we're gonna have some up and down action going on here. You can see I have the mount plate for the shifter on the tail of the transmission. The shifter is gonna come right up through here, right on the bottom of that piece right there. But what we've got to do is we got to remove the console nets and get it out of the way, which means I got to put it down so I can get in it, and then go put it back up again, pop a little hole in here to mark it, and then do a bigger hole to fit that shifter. And we'll have to take a look and measure the diameter that we're going to need for the throws and stuff. But that's what we're going to do, some up and downs. Let me go ahead and get this down off of the lift here, and then we'll go ahead and we'll show you pulling that console out and getting ready to get a hole in that for the new shifter for that location. All right, so hang tight, we will be back. All right, so a view from the passenger seat. You can see we got this off. It's not very hard. You take the plastic cover off first, and they're looped underneath. Somebody's had this off before though, because these just popped right out. But you can stuff them down. Then there's 3 screws on the side for the side cover to the center console, and then 2 screws on each side for the cover to do it. And the good news is the shifter's going to come right up in the right spot. That's okay. That's great. Bad news is, you know, you discover stuff. And discovered, you know, a broken vacuum line that's right here. So what does that go to? What's going on there with that? And a decayed vacuum line. So we're going to have to get out the manual and see what's going on. I've got a, this looks like a relay right here. I'm not sure what it is, but to pull out, like I said, the manual, it says short on it, on tape. So I don't know if they had the short, they fixed it, or what's going on there. But what we're going to do is we'll get the shifter out, we'll get the column out, we'll clean all this up, we'll pull out the owner's manual, the service manual, I mean, and we'll check wiring diagrams, because I'm sure that this is probably neutral safety switch and backup light or something like that. On the standard shift, there's usually a backup light switch down there, and I don't know what they do for safety, neutral safety. I have a switch that's on the 3rd, 4th gear shift lever. There's a switch built into it, so I'm not sure. I gotta have to look up my Muncie on that and figure that out. But we'll clean this up. We'll do the work that's intended. We'll get in here. We'll see what else is going on. And of course it'll delay us from getting this done a little bit, but I'd rather put it together and have everything work than discover I got to pull it off all apart again if it doesn't work. So it comes out pretty easy. We're going to also work on this a little bit. See, the pawn gets stuck down, and I don't know if it's needs to be pulled by the cable or not, but we'll pull this off. We'll service the e-brake lever and make sure everything works fine there. While we got everything open, we might as well take care of everything. But it comes apart pretty easy. Now we'll see what kind of troubles we get into and get it all back together. So stay tuned. Right, we're back, and as you can see, there's a shifter and a shift cable moved. Gotten up there and clean. We still need to explore to make sure that there's nothing up there that's really busted that we're going to need to address before we put things back. But there are a couple things that we'll want to look at. But now what we're going to do is we're going to put the vet back up, get it up. We're going to poke a hole right where we believe the center of the shifter comes up through, so that we have a guide on the top, and then we'll cut a bigger hole for access to the shifter. We'll probably use just a hole saw, a big hole saw, 2-inch hole or something like that, and then we'll adjust the edges with a file and/or other cutting mechanisms to widen it to make sure that it accommodates the throws and everything fits in. So we'll bring you back in when we do that. There you can see that shifter cable and bracketry is out of there. Well, we're getting ready to cut the hole in for the access to the shifter. We pop that hole in there right here, that little one right there. Just tried to use this drill right here with the hole saw, but immediately caught it and broke off the guide tip for it. So I guess we're going to do a more conventional approach with it, being that I'll put a bigger hole in there and we'll use a saber saw and mark it up and cut along lines the best that we can to get that out of there. A 2.5-inch hole would have been perfect, but I guess we can do a 2.5-inch square using the little scroll saw, saber saw. So we'll go ahead and set that up. We'll see what happens. That one didn't work too well. All right, we'll be back. All right, there we go. Shifter's in. We cut this hole out. We used a couple different. I used a zip disc along the top. It was easy to get to, but then the zip disc wouldn't fit in here. So I took then a reciprocating jigsaw and just cut lines up to the corners. And then I had like a fine tool, which is a vibrator tool, and I used that to cut these out and got a pretty good square cut out of it. So it took a couple tools, but it was not difficult at all. And here you go. There's the shifter sitting in there. I think we have plenty of clearance. We're going to have to try it. I think we will have plenty. it's got the neutral locking pin in it, so I can't go back and forth with it till I pull that on the rods. But this is the, you know, they're spring loaded, so it looks like we're going to clear everything. We'll get a boot on that. We got to get a boot yet, but we'll get a boot on that. It'll cover it up with this in here. It should line right up. It'll be a little bit to the left, but it shouldn't interfere at all. And we'll get a boot on it to cover it up. And we'll switch out the plates so that we don't have the automatic plate in there anymore. We'll make sure it's got the standard with the shift pattern in it, that you can get those pretty easily. We're gonna next we'll go underneath and we'll get everything hooked up there. We'll show you that and how it's fitting from underneath. And we'll do a little bit of hunting around in here to see what's going on with this stuff that looks broken or decayed. Make sure we have everything hooked up well, like we did when we put the steering column in. So let me go ahead and let's get this thing up off the ground again. We'll go back underneath it and see what we can do. And I'll take you guys along with me for that. There's no reason you guys can't see this thing go up in the ground a couple 100,000 times. Why not? It's gonna go up, down, a whole lot. But it wasn't that difficult. I mean, it had its little parts to it, right, that we needed to do to get things going on it here. But all in all, it was not difficult at all to get this done. So let's see where we're at now by putting the car back up in the air. Yes, I'm a little off. I got to do some adjustments, but they'll get better here. First one's usually way off. The rest are usually pretty close, like that was right on. Now we're just a tad bit off on the clicks. Little cable adjustment. For those who don't know, the clicks are here are the locks engaging, and they should be simultaneously. You shouldn't be able to tell the difference. You can hear there's a slight difference in them. This one, on the column we're standing in front of here, is engaging first, and then that one second. So I need to go and check and see which cable's loose and tighten it up a little bit, and it'll even out. Actually, that's probably a little high. Let me, is the locks engaged? No, we're going to let it down one here. Okay, now we'll go back up. Right there. That's good. Let it down on the locks. There we go. So here it is from underneath. Let's see if it's right up and in there. It's got plenty of clearance. We'll go and we'll make sure. Some kids on bicycles making noises. We'll pull the neutral locking pin is this one right here. Make sure it's in neutral position when you do the adjustments. These are the ones from the old, the Corvette sifter, the one that come with the car. So these need to come off, and I need to put the pawns on for the other one, and then the wires, and then we'll get this all adjusted. So, but we're in good shape here, and let me go do that get that all set up, and we'll come back to it. So hang tight. All right, so everything is hooked up, as you can see in here. Those crazy pins that keep everything on or on, they do a good job, but they're just a pain in the butt. And what we're going to do now is all the stops have been loosened so that we can put the car down and go ahead and get it in the third gear, set the third gear stop, and then pull it back into second gear to set the forward stop on it, so we get all the stops set correctly. And then we'll go through and we'll get everything, make sure everything's nice and tight on all the bolts everywhere. So we already did these that put the bracket to it. They're good and tight. We'll make sure that these are up here are all set and tightened up. But we're going to go ahead and do that, and we'll let you know how that turns out, because you're not going to be able to see anything, because I can hardly see anything. We'll make sure we got proper clearances and all that type of stuff. So we'll be back as soon as we get adjusted. So just hang tight. We're almost there with this. All right, so let's update you to where we are. The shifter, okay, we showed you this earlier. Everything's in, everything's tight, everything's aligned. Handles on it. The stops are all set, so everything's good there. what we're doing now is we had the bad end of the power cord, so we put a new one on and we're running a whole new cord. We pulled out the old one. We're now rerouting it back. The pain in the royal butt, of course, because you got to get up into the tunnel here and put the binder straps. Now we're going to come over, and the next one is, let's see if I can find it, up here, right here. So this one won't be too bad, because that'll go up and the bolt's exposed. And then there's one there. You come through, and then you come up through. Where is it? That's the drain for the bottom. I'll have to find it. Oh, no, that could be, no, that's not it. Well, we'll find it. It could be it. Maybe I popped the grommet out. I'll have to go topside and look, but then we'll route it back up in, and then we'll cut it short once we get it up in there. So that's where we're at. We're doing all that, getting all that done. We discovered a little bit of decay right here. It's a little bit soft. You can see it's cracking. We'll go ahead and clean that up, and we'll fix that. And we'll do a search and see if we can find anything else. While we're underneath it, we're waiting on the reverse switch, which comes into here with a linkage that comes down that turns that. That might be neutral, or it's got to be neutral. It can't be a reverse safety reverse switch. So we'll put the reverse switch. We got one on order, but that might be neutral safety there. The lines are up there. They're connected to a different switch. I showed you that earlier, but we're getting there. As soon as we get the speedo cable, which coming in, and the speedometer gear, which goes in here, we'll get all that hooked up. And once we're primarily done, we still want to drain that and refill it. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get these headers on and get the pipes on before we button everything up underneath it, so that we've got that there. We got the wheel coming. That should be in tomorrow. So we can get the e-brake all set up and everything set. And then it's back up topside to the motor to do all its top parts and all that type of stuff. And we'll be able to fire this up real soon. So hang in there. We're going to go and finish that up. I'll show you the finished product when we got it done. And we'll move on from there. All right, so let me show you the ultimate fun. We've got the cable pulled through. We got it wired underneath and up pulled through. And there is a grommet. I'm going to put you upside down here for a minute. You can see it right there, that it comes through, and the grommet popped out. So now we're trying to pop the grommet back in. The cable got dry and it pulled the grommet out as I was pulling it through. Because I was stupid and didn't hit it with enough WD-40 or blaster or something to get it through there. So I'm poking it ever slowly with a screwdriver. We get that little bulge left to get in there, and then once we get it in there, we'll have new cables. I can cut it out to the right length. We can put the heads on it. And then we got all new ground and power cables in this thing. So yee-haw, lots of fun. I don't mind doing this stuff, but I'll tell you, I'm going to blind you here because I got a light on just to keep it low. Better make sure you want to do this with a Corvette, because there's tight spaces in there. But it's coming through. So we'll just keep going. We'll keep showing you. We're getting close, really close. I mean, we got to get this back together here, but the shifter's in, of course, and everything's set up with it. I've got a 4-speed indicator instead of the automatic indicator coming for the console. The e-brake we got all set, with the exception we're going to want to get an e-brake spring for underneath. We knew which one of these wires here is for backup light and which one's neutral safety, so we can go ahead and get all that wired in, and hopefully have this thing working real soon. So one more update. We'll show you more as we get it done. All right, update time. We got the wheel in. We got to tighten it down yet, but the e-brake wheel is on. It's all hooked up. This is the old spring. It's got a broken back. I was able to bend it and stick it in here, but I don't know if it's going to stay. We may have to order a new one of those. Moving this around to get it aligned too. I also noticed that we got some frayed ones right here, so this is eventually going to break. So we'll get one of those on order. If you look up past here, we got the new cable in and the grommet back in, so that's all up. We got to connect the batteries up top, connectors, but we're good there. We also got the speedometer gear that goes in there and the new speedometer cable, which comes over and hooks into the cruise control box, which is right up there. It sends a signal off to the cruise control and then up to the speedometer for that. So we've got that cable in. We do have to get for this though, there's a drive pin that goes in the 90-degree adapter. I gotta order a drive pin for it because apparently it got lost because it's not there. But we got everything hooked up, everything turned smooth. Again, we got the shifter all hooked up already. We talked about that. The stops have been adjusted, everything's in there. I may put the spacer up there on the handle. I don't know if you can see it from here. It's biased towards the driver's side. I might push it over just a little bit. They give you a little block adapter for it just to see how that looks. But we've got a lot of this wrapped up underneath to at least let it get going here. Where are we at this point? I want to drain and put new oil on it. We're going to go and do that. We can do this from the top, get all the battery connected and the other pieces. So we're at a point where we can start to pull stuff up and out of our way and get these headers on. We can put this down because the headers will go on it easier down because they're easier to get up through here. Get them on, get them connected. They shouldn't be in the way of anything else we have to do. Nope, we should be in good spot. Get the side pipes all mounted and everything, and then we're ready to move to the top of the motor. Oh, we have a reverse. There's a bar that comes down. There's a switch that sits on a bracket here for reverse backup lights. So we ordered that switch. I still don't know about neutral. This has got to be a neutral safety switch here. It can't be anything else. It's got to be when these two pawns are like that. They must have put a cam or something in there to activate. So we'll check and see if that switch works in and out of gear, if it changes. And if we can use it as the neutral, we will. If not, I guess we're going to figure out how to get a neutral safety switch on this thing. But we'll go ahead and we'll get the headers up. We want to do that. And then we want to get this in because we got to put the ball back in here. You can't do it. If you get the cross member, you can't get the headers up. It's got to go through the headers. So we got to get the headers up first. And then we'll jack it back up, of course. Get the cross, the Z-bar in. We'll get that all set. Make sure that the clutch works. And then we're ready, like I was saying, to go up to the top side and get the top side components on it. Power steering pump, water pump, and all the pulleys. We'll get a fan for that. The shroud we'll put back on. And we're just about ready to go time at that point. Other than maybe, you know, getting a spring. I'm going to order a spring for it and might as well do it right? And while I'm at it, I might order it so I have it. We'll do it until it breaks, but we'll go ahead and order it. And then we'll get everything. This has got to be tightened up yet. Get everything, do one last check, and we should be able to fire it here real soon. We're getting real close. So hang tight. That's where we are with this. We're going to go ahead and get it down now. Get the headers all in there and the side pipes on, and we'll go from there. But I wanted to update you guys, and we'll get these final pieces together, and then you can hear it go broom. All right, so stay tuned. Good morning, everybody. Beautiful day here in Agalon, and I know we're in the middle of the video for getting Miss Corvette Ghost here together. As you know, coast is down. That's because we got most of the underneath stuff all taken care of, and you can see we have headers positioned, right? So we're getting ready to go ahead and do these headers, to pull them on up. And sorry for my hand right there. I want to turn the light on so it's a little easier for you to see. Pull them on up and get them positioned, and then go ahead and get these side pipes on so that we can have that all set up, and then we can move up to the top. We still got, like we said, a little bit of stuff underneath, but we'll do that as we go. We've got everything all set up here. We've got the front end jacked up, so we got plenty of clearance it. We've got our instructions for the Doug header installs all out. We've got all the parts for it. This is the mounting parts for the side pipes and the mufflers. We got the star clips and the header bolts. We got the small header bolts, so we got good bolts for that. We actually got a separate ARP kit, not ARP, a separate kit for that. And then the one thing I did want to talk about is here are the gaskets that these guys sent with the kit. I don't like them. The reason I don't like them is there's thin materials here that break, and it's also kind of a floppy material. It's not a really high quality set of gaskets. and it doesn't have the hook sides. Because normally what you can do when you install headers is you can put the 2 end bolts and you can drop the gaskets in for the headers and do that. So we've ordered a new set from Summit. We're going to wait for those to come in. We are going to get the headers positioned though and get them in there. So all we got to do is drop the gaskets in and tighten them up and have them all set. And the other thing we ordered from Summit for the whoop, I'm going to trip over the jack handle, is the drive element for the right angle drive for the Speedo. We need to have that. I have a right angle drive. It came with my 73 because it had a right angle. We got the new cable up and under on there, and we discovered that the drive pin has been lost for the right angle drive. So we've got one of those ordered from Summit as well, so that we can get that driving. But that's where we're at. We're in the center here. You see me put these headers on once. I've showed you before when we were doing the mock-up without anything. I'll come back and show you. I might set the camera up to show you me lifting. Not that you can really see a whole lot, but what the heck. And we'll give you some action on this rather than just, here's what we're going to do, and then here's the results of it for that. So stay tuned, and we'll have some of that coming in. You can see me struggle with things. All right? We'll be right back. All right, let's struggle with some headers. These came right up the last time. Yeah. Alright, I gotta look at the situation first. This hasn't got quite as much room as the other one. We'll be back. Okay, we're back. It just took a little judicious wrestling with it to wiggle it up there. We didn't have to pull anything out. We did. It's going to be interesting routing that wire. We may have to put a big block up here and then run a different way. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but we'll go ahead and we'll get the header up in there. We'll get the bolt initially on. The 2 bolts in. Let me go get the blocks for it and set up. And then we'll have them at least in place. So when the gaskets come, we can drop them in there and tighten everything down. But it just took a little wiggling and judiciousness to get it around. But they come up pretty easily. You just got to make sure that you get everything flat and square to it. So let me get you back on the tripod here. Not that you can see a whole lot. Grab our blocks over here. headers. Let's take you off. Both headers are on there, which is fun, let me tell you. So a PSA, and it's not a public service announcement in this case, it's a project service announcement. Headers are always a pain, you guys know that. These insert pretty well, so it's not hard to get them in. Usually that's the case. It's bolting it because of how tight it is, especially in the back here, where you get to this back one. And make sure you get good gaskets. These are the gaskets, like I said, they sent. The thing I don't like about them is to see how thin they are here. They're going to blow out over time, and it won't be very long before they do. There's just not enough material there to stop it from doing that. So I got good Felpro gaskets that have a lot more oomph to them in terms of material around it. And this other stuff that we need to take care of, like the wiring, we're going to have to, that'll route in underneath. It'll fit underneath that header. It'll be fine. Now that we look at it and where it's coming in. We'll get everything routed in there too. But back to the sorry I rabbited when I saw it there. As far as the gaskets, always do gaskets or you'll be swapping them out. And you don't want to do this 100 times. So make sure you get good, high quality gaskets. Doug's headers, if you're listening to this or somebody keys you into it, I love the headers. I love the side pipes. I love the mufflers. Great products. But high quality parts all around. The gaskets you sent, they're crap. I'm sorry, they're just crap. Send the Felpros, even if it's going to raise it a few bucks. Go ahead and do that, because somebody's going to go and put it in, and 2 weeks later they're going to blow and have an exhaust leak, and they're going to be pissed. So help us out, would you? High quality stuff. I appreciate it. All right, guys. I got a dying battery here. I got to figure out what we're doing next in this little project, and then we'll be back with some more so we can make it go broom. All right, so stay tuned. Alrighty, so we're back, and so where do we are? We got both of the headers. Let's just review real quick. Sitting in position, we're just waiting on the gaskets to come so we can finish them up, which is positioned where these go. Yuck. Now they're going to end up here when you tighten them up, so they'll be up here. But what we did also is we pulled off, while we're charging the camera battery here, the side trim covers, the rocker covers, to expose the frame rails. And the reason I'm going to do that, we did it here, and we did it on the passenger side. Same thing. Expose the frame rail. Now you see these T-slots, these little slots right here? They have T-bolts that you put in and you turn your pull. They fit here, and they fit here, one up. And they line right up, I'll show you, with, if you remember, we did it before. Here's the headers, these two brackets, one bracket here, one bracket there, and lining right up with those brackets. So all you have to do to install it is slip the T-bolts in, turn them up, and then use, I'll show you here, plastic inserts that go around, the bolts go through. This goes like this, clips like that. Your bolts go through and you're cushioned, but you're bolted. The bolts come through and then you put the nuts on the back of the T-bolts. So this being a T-bolt, we'll slide in there back, slide into this like that, and then you just grab the correct nut, grab the correct nut, screw that nut on, squeeze that little rubber bushing between the rails on that, and bingo, you're all set up. You insert the mufflers. Got muffler inserts for it. We got the mid-range ones, not the loudest, not the quietest, right in the middle, so that has a really nice rumble to it. It's the muffler inserts right here. The inlet side, the outlet side. You just insert them into the side pipes when you're ready to go, and bingo, you got it all set up. A nice sounding exhaust system based on Doug's headers and side pipes. So it's ought to come out really good. So all we're waiting on, again, is the gaskets. We'll drop the gaskets in, we'll tighten everything up. Once the headers are tightened into place so we know that they're in the right place, we'll go ahead and we'll slip on the side pipes with the mufflers in them. and put the T-bolts in. Go ahead and get that all. And then what we're going to have to do is the brackets slip up behind the trim pieces that cover the rockers, but we may have to trim a little bit for how close the side pipes come to those. And they give us a pattern for that, but they say it's a guide only. So we're going to go ahead and get those back in place when we do that and see where they line up, and we'll mark them if we have to trim them with a marker, and then we'll cut them we'll use a really fine blade. And I have a metal bandsaw. I have a regular bandsaw that I can put a metal blade on, and I can cut it with that, or I can use a real sharp fine-tooth metal blade on a jigsaw to trim those up so they come out really nice. Or, which I'm hoping, cross fingers, I can slip them behind and they won't contact it and won't get too hot. Of course, they're metal, they're not plastic, so I'm sure it may burn off or discolor them. But if we don't have to cut them, I would rather do that. So that's where we are at this point, and we're gathering the rest of the stuff to get this sucker all together. We got to clean up the manifold, the intake manifold. That's probably going to be next. We're going to throw it in the sandblaster and sandblast. You've seen me sandblast before. We may give you a little bit of that, but we basically have to clean up the mating surfaces. You can see them, they're rusted here. We'll go ahead and we'll blast the white coatings off everywhere, and we'll get this aluminum air gap intake all clean. That's what we're going to use. It'll keep it rise up, keep air going underneath it. Pop on the Holley 650. We got a Mallory distributor that'll fix in there. We're going to go and use that. And we also got a good set of intake gaskets, because the intake gaskets I got, again, are crappy. And we're going to go ahead and put them on. We'll pull off that iron intake that we used to load it up. And then we need the front pieces on it. We can get everything hooked up, and we can get some fuel pumped to this sucker and get her flying. All right, so we're close. We're real close, and we'll be back in it as we do those side pipes. All right, so hang tight. All right, we're back at it again. It's a new day. What we've done here, you saw in the previous section where we got the headers all set up. We're just waiting on gaskets for those to drop in there, and they've got 2 bolts, 1 on each of the ends to do that, and then we'll put them in. But what we're going to do now is we're going to see if we can't get these side pipes hooked up. So what I also showed you was that we pulled the panels off down here, right, on this, and you can see there's a slot right there and there's a slot right there, and that's where the T-bars bolts, these ones right here, will line up on that. So what we've done is I'm setting up the side pipe, right? So we've got the isolator in there. I put a little nut on the end. So what we don't want to do is put that in and then have it fall back into the frame. So we want it to catch. We want to leave enough space to put it in there, and then we can go ahead and we can turn the, if we do this right, we can take the nut off here and we can turn this so it'll line up and it'll catch the way it is. We got it sideways now for both of these, the front and the back one. Now we got the muffler insert here, and they do a good thing. They tell you where the inlet is, but we're going to pull that tag off because I don't think it'll start a fire when it gets hot, but I'd really rather not have a fire in my side pipe. So what I did here is, I don't know if you can see it. Let's go ahead and turn on the light a little bit. I put an eye in marker on it, so I know where it is in case I do have to take it out. So what I'm going to do with you guys is I'm going to kind of set you up on the handle tripod and get you positioned. Hopefully not knock you around too much, to where you can kind of see stuff, and we'll see if we can't get this thing set up and cranking along here. So let me just peel this inlet sticker off, or as much of it that will come off on the pipe, which is apparently not a lot, so we may not be worrying too much about this. Okay, so we got some of that off, and now let's go ahead and insert it into the side pipe. It's going to make the side pipe much heavier because the muffler is much heavier. And I have scuffed the interior of the section that slides over the header a little bit, so hopefully it'll slide on better. Take a little bit of the paint off, reduce the thickness just a tad, and go from there. Oh, goodness. Well, apparently starting these in isn't that easy either because they're tight. Oh, what's going on? Did they dent this? Side pipe somewhere? Did it slide in really hard? There it goes. Got past it. Push it all the way in until it stops. So it's below the input cycle. Go down as far as it'll go. Okay, that's as far as that's going. So now let's see if we can get this pipe to slide on. I'm gonna move this chair over here. I don't know if, oh no, I'm not gonna have enough room. Looks like it's gonna be a floor sit. So, let's go ahead and put this down like this. Tight works. I may have to move you guys because I'm gonna have to probably lay a little bit on the ground to do this. If we can't get these lamps. Now the only thing this header is going to do is rise when we do it. So we'll keep everything loosely coupled when we get it in there. Let's see if we can't get this thing to go. It's going to be fun. Really tight spots. Up on an elbow. Okay. Turn that way. Turn that way. Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. I got to figure out how to sit here and do this. Got tight spaces to work in. And of course, I can't see anything. Okay. Let's get this lined up. Okay, let me take a little bit of thought here. Wiggle that on. See, the problem we're having here is okay. Okay, so here's our situation. It's cantered, right? So when you're going in and it's so close to that, you can't really get the pipe straight so it'll slide on straight. So what I might have to do is we might have to get this on first and then position the header and put blocks underneath the side pipe in order to get it leveling up. Let me go away and play with it a little bit and take a look at it. I'd like to not take the headers off if I don't have to, but we might have to lower them, get it all together, and then do some blocking magic to get this up and into the spot where we need to have it. So hang tight. Let me go ahead and figure this out and we'll be back. Okay, we're back. We got the header on. So I'm going to show you how we did that. It took a little thinking here. I'll show you it's on. I got the pieces here for one of the headers. So let's go over and let's take a look at how they mount onto the frame here. And we'll go over what you need to do, and we'll do a PSA, a project service announcement for that. Okay, so the mounts are like we showed you earlier. There's little slots in the frame rail on the Corvette. Okay, let me turn the light on here for you. You can see it down in there. We've got it in there, and the T's right here slip in. You turn them up so that they lock up against the rail, and then you're going to tighten them down. Now the way that you do this to get them in there is it comes with these rubber connectors, and you sandwich that mount between these two. All right, so what you do is on the back of the mount there's a washer on it that's embedded in it. You're going to go ahead and you're going to put the T thing right through it, just like that. You're going to insert it into the rail once you got your side pipe up there, and then once it's into the pipe, you're going to take your nut and screw it on like this. And all you're trying to do here is just make it so the insert stays in and that the T-nut won't pull out when you push it back in. And then when it's in the pipe, you maneuver it in there, you get it in, you turn it upright, and then what I did is I slid a screwdriver behind it. If you look down in there, you see there's a little gap behind that mount, and pressed the T-nut forward and held it like that. Took the bolt off on this. It's hard to hold you in to undo it at the same time, so let me undo it. Take the nut off, and when you take the nut off, you take the rubber, other piece of the rubber goes around the frame piece and on and squishes the frame between the two. You can see it there. And then you put your washer on, you put your nut back on, and you know, you're gonna have to finagle and jiggle a little bit like that. So now you've got that frame mount rail squished between that. This is behind the T is behind it like that, and then you just start to crank it down, and you just put your screwdriver in that little slot behind it, hold the T rail, crank it down, and then it'll firmly attach it on both of these just like that. I mean, it's not hard, but you know, it's just a pain in the neck type of thing to have to do. Now I got to do the other side, and you notice it gets dinged up. They only put a little bit of, that's for putting the light and different things, but we'll come by here once we got everything mounted up. Once we tighten that up, the muffler's been inserted into it, so the muffler's in there. It's pushed up where it's going to go. I have blocks supporting it, so it's pushed up against the header. Now we're going to pull those out when we go to put the, well, when I do the other side, obviously this will hold this up like that, and we'll get that other side pipe on. But that's how you put those on like that. And it's not, the biggest thing is that people put the T's in there and then they try to slip it on and they end up pushing it into the rails. But you don't. You insert it in, it kind of holds it, you wiggle it into there, you put it in, you wiggle it in, you put your thing on, you tighten it down so it doesn't go anywhere, you work with one of them to get it. Once you've done it once, the second, I mean, this one took me 30 minutes to figure it out and to get it in. That one took me, you know, 3 minutes to get done once I figured out what I was doing and how I was doing it and got it all cranked down and everything's tight. So that's how you do that. So we got this side pipe on. I'm going to go do the other side pipe. We'll come back and show you the end result. And then when we get the gaskets, which should be here, I think, thinking tomorrow. This is the 5th of September. I should have them by the 6th of September. Then we'll have these side pipes all hooked up. We can see what we need to trim in terms of covering. I'm thinking that most of it's going to fit. I mean, I got lots of clearance on it, so I might not have to trim it all. And that would be a good thing. And we'll be ready to do the top end stuff once we got that on, and hopefully fire this in the next, you know, week or two. So we should be, you'll see this, of course, after that, but hopefully you'll hear it go broom. All right, so stay tight. We got more to come. Okay, passenger side on. Difference in time, 10-15 minutes on this side, and on the driver's side about 30 minutes. Once you figure out what to do, it goes on pretty easily. And I slipped the covers, the rocker panel covers on, and I think I can put them on without having to cut. We've got the clamp bolt in. I don't know if you can see it right there. So we've got these clamp. The only thing we have left to do is we got to drop the, of course, when the gasket comes, the gasket goes in. We need to tighten those up and tighten them down. And then once we have that all done, we'll get some high temp black, flat black paint, and we'll touch these babies up with a little bit of that. That's the driver's side. Same thing. Clamp is on. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there you can, right there. And these are up, and this clears as well too. I did have to push down on this one a little bit when I started, so it would clear the door, because the door was just kind of doing it a little bit. So we'll Make sure that those are all properly tight. We might go one more time just to make sure everything's real tight before we close everything up. Once we got the headers in place, and we're ready to rock and roll. But the Doug's headers and side pipes, once you figure things out, it's not difficult at all. You just do what I told you to do is take the plastic inserts for that, insert it, put it in, turn it up, put the bolt on it so it won't fall backwards, pop those right on, line them up, flip the thing around, pull it off, put on the washer and the nut, and it'll tighten down. You got tight spaces, so it's a little hard to crank on the nuts to get them started. They like to, you know, crank sideways and not go on straight. But once you get them on straight, no big deal. You're ready to fly. They did a good job with designing these. And as soon as we got those header gaskets in and the headers tightened up, move to the top end here. We'll put a new master cylinder on. We've got to get all the bracketry for the alternator and the AC pump, as well as we've got to get a power steering pump for the bottom. And get that on, hook the fuel up, put on a new manifold after we clean it, hook up, you know, oil sensor, water temperature sensor, distributor in, neck and thermostat for water, hook it up to the radiator, get the shroud back in, put the fan on it, and that's, you know, then it's ready to go ahead and pop some oil in it, put a little lube in the cylinders just to make sure, crank it over a little bit to get some pressure going, and then see where we're at. Like we already showed you, we got the shifter all in there. The boots are coming for that. We'll get the boots, we'll get this all back together, and we'll show you all that stuff. We got to put the seat back in, and I just want to throw some trim on the bottom of it to tighten it up. We got to do something with the seat belts. We're going to pull that retractor out. They had issues, and the retractors on both sides, and they cut the belts. So we'll have to work that out. Battery box has got new cables that are up in it. We just got to put the ends and then put a battery in it. So we're real close, not a lot left. Oh, and of course, tires. We need new front tires. And wheels. The backs are okay for now. Well, eventually, they're older. They're not dry rotted or anything, but you know, they got some tread use on them. So, but we'll clean everything up, and we'll get it running. Get it under its own power. Get it going. Take it for a test drive. Shake down all the rest that's in it out, and we'll be ready to go. So we're getting close here, guys. Real close from the pedal swap and the new exhaust and everything. So stay tuned and we'll show you the rest. All right, we're back at it, and we have a cross shaft in place, as you can see, with a clutch pedal hooked up, with the clutch push rod to the clutch hooked up. So let's go see. Sorry for the blue pole in your face. We have, even got crap in the way, but let's get all this stuff that's in the way of the clutch out of there. Yep, got a functioning clutch all the way to the floor. Now we'll have to check and see, but it's squeaking like the devil. We'll have to see where it's squeaking. It's probably on that ball because it hasn't worn in yet on the block. So we'll have to do that. And let me put this thing up in the air for you, and we'll take a look at the underneath of what we got. Need to adjust my lift. They get off a little bit. Pretty good now. They should click together. There's still a little bit of a difference. That one was pretty close. That was off. So what that means is that one of these equalizing cables is loose. I have to determine which one. Probably the one on the far, because it's going second. Okay. And I always give it a little shake to make sure. So here we are. We got the reverse light switch on, and we used red Loctite on it, as you can see, because there's extra goo on both of these. It's going to run up. I'm going to put it back down, and we're going to pull it through that. We could pull it through the shaft hole, but it's going to have a boot on it. So that's where the shift cable for the automatic came through. So we'll pop that out. Well, I'll cut a little slice in it and slip it in there. We'll pull it up that way, and it plugs into the harness because the switch for the automatic was there. Now we're gonna have to do something for neutral safety because this didn't have it. What this is a vacuum control switch that when it was in the higher gears, 3rd and 4th gear, it would reduce vacuum to timing and pull the timing back a little bit for emissions, but we're not doing that crap, so that ain't going back on there. This is all set up nice and tight, everything works. Very little preload on it, just a touch of it. I had to use cotter pins here rather than the clips they gave us because I just could not get the clips to go in where they were. We're gonna have to lubricate this ball right here because this is where it's squeaking. I'm pretty sure it's the rubber seal in it. Should be fine though. Plenty of engagement on everything. Our stanchion's good. I did a cotter pin up there as well. All the springs are in place, the boots are in place, everything's in good shape. So we got this. We still need to get the gaskets and tighten these up. That's the last thing that needs to happen. Of course, spin on a oil filter, and we can move to the top end once we got that all done. But we pretty much have this wrapped up. E-brake cable here, we told you this is fraying a little bit. We'll end up changing that. I used the original spring, but we may have to get one there. We ran both cables. There's that one there, and up there's a red one. You can see it going into there, so we got fresh electrical to it. So we're pretty much wrapped up underneath this for right now. Not sure what that spring was holding up, but it was a retention spring is what it was, holding something up out of the way. So we'll see what we need to hold up out of the way. I'll have to come down and, you know, connect this and bring that down and connect that. But for sure there's some more up and down on this, but we're pretty much together. We're gonna pull a plug, drain it, and put new oil in it. I'm still waiting on the coupling pin for that. Once that coupling pin comes, we'll take care of that. The speedo, this thing likes to eat speedo gear, so we might have something with the drive gear going with this. We might get some miles out of it, and then it'll eat it again, and we'll have to put a new gear in. But if that's the case, we'll figure out. Eventually this will probably get an overdrive, a gear vendor on it. So this, if I know correctly, this housing is going to come off. The gear vendor goes on there for it with the correct adapter, and we go from there. So we'll see what happens. Right, there's your update for right now, and we'll be back once we start on the top of this thing. So hang tight. Good morning, everybody, and we're back at it. It's actually pretty early. It's about 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. I think it's September 8th. Beautiful, beautiful day here in Agawam. Cool temperatures. We're in the 50s now, heading for the 70s, coming into fall, which is usually gorgeous up here in the New England area. Getting the shop open. So thought I'd just bump you guys up early here while we're doing that, and give you a little update here on the vet, because you're seeing it in the vet. Of course it's on the vet. We went ahead and we've cleaned this up. I wanted to sandblast it, but my blaster was giving me trouble, so we did it the old-fashioned way with a wire wheel. And it's aluminum, and of course aluminum is porous, so we're probably going to paint that, cover the surfaces, and then go ahead and put a nice coat of paint on it, so it'll be a little bit more durable. But it cleaned up pretty well. Everything's looking good on it. Also, we're down here, and we've got everything set up, of course, on it. But I think we're going to go and we're going to rework that Z-bar just a little bit, because down in here, of course, under full disclosure, a PSA, a project service announcement, I've got a really squeaky clutch when I go ahead and push it. Everything works just fine, but it's squeaking like a bandit. And what it is the rod that connects to the Z-bar on this side is rubbing up against the firewall because I put it on this side. What we're going to do is we're going to try and flop it to the other side. I didn't originally do that because I was having trouble getting it in, but we'll go ahead and we'll get it in there, and we'll get everything set up correctly so it's not squeaking away terribly, and we'll update you on that. Other than that, we got what do we got going here? I put the shifter ball on the shifter. We got the base boot. The base boot's in. That's the one that covers the thing. We're trying to find. I did get this one, but I misordered. This boot is for up to a 76. I've got to get a 77, and I did find one at Top Flight. So we're going to go and order that. And if not, I'll have my wife, who's very crafty in lots of ways, but in the way we're talking about here, go ahead and make me a boot for the upper seal. We're getting ready to put the 4-speed indicator in there and get everything all set up. We've got the lighter out, if you can see there. And the reason for that is we're going to put a little switch and a relay in there to act as neutral safety switch. So it'll be off. It'll also act as a security thing. We'll keep the lighter cover on the ashtray and the lighter closed, and you go in there and push it. It'll light up. It'll close the relay and close the neutral safety switch, so that you can go ahead and start this thing, because it doesn't have one, and it's not particularly easy to put one on. I suppose we could figure out how to do it, but that's one of the easiest ways, and it acts as a safety, as an emergency anti-theft device. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and when we come back, I'll show you the results of all that. All right. So we'll catch you guys in just a couple of seconds from your perspective. All right, we're back at it. Guess what came in? The header gaskets and the other gaskets for the intake manifold. So let's see, where's the header gaskets? Well, here's the intake gaskets right here. Intake gasket set for that. Nice Velcro kit. You can take care of that. Here's the other header gasket. Again, let's take a look and compare it versus what they gave us in the Doug's header kits, okay? So here's the Doug header one. You can see how thin it is by this bolt hole. The problem is they're going to blow out. You see how much thicker they are here all the way around. Plus the fact I like the hooks, because you can just drop it in. These you have to position and then put in, because they have bolt holes for everything. Now we'll keep those for backup, but we're gonna use those because they drop right in. Let me show you on this side how we've already done it. We pulled the cover off of the valve rocker valves to make sure that one's twisted a little bit. We're gonna have to go in and make sure that that's set right. And just dropped it right in, and wiggled it out, dropped it right in. It's firmly in there. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna tighten all the bolts up. We're gonna start from the inside and work out. So go here to here, then to here, to here, and then to there, to there. And we're going to tighten all the bolts up doing that. And then we're going to torque them to like 25 to 30 foot-pounds. It varies anywhere from 30 to 35 to 25. Say the outside one's at 25, the inside one's at 30 to 35. So we'll just consistently do everything to 25, and we should be good to go on that. And then we'll do the other side, and we'll show you the finish for that. We're going to order some new valve covers. They got Chevy orange. We painted the intake manifold, the air gap that was aluminum. You remember, and it was, you know, it had oxidation on it, so we cleaned the oxidation best we could. And then we hit it with some flat black. So that's going to look good with flat black countered with the orange on the black motor. So everything will look really, really good for that. So let me go finish that up, and then we'll show you the finished product when we got the headers all taken care of. So we'll be back. All right, so we got them gaskets in for the exhaust manifolds, both sides, and we're going to go ahead and do the intake. Now what I did is I hit it with Permatex tack. I like to do that, so when I place the gaskets will stick, and we can go ahead and get everything lined up real well. It's just Permatex high-tack gasket sealant. I don't generally do it on both sides. I just generally do it on the one side, and then drop the manifold on and tighten it up. Once you do that, you're usually all set. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull the strands off so they don't get in the valley. Place the gaskets on it, and then we're going to go ahead and place the manifold. And we'll come back in here when we have the manifold nice and in place. So sit tight. We'll be right back. Okay, so the gaskets are placed. These are nice Velcro, even seal gaskets. They send cork ones on the end. Now I use these. I haven't had trouble like a lot of people have had with the end gaskets, where they pile up a bunch of silicone and then drop it on. The only thing I do is I do put a little bit of the right stuff on the corners to seal out the corners, but generally I've been okay with the cork gaskets. So we'll see if we stay there with that, and go from there. I'm gonna give this valley just a quick clean swipe. I had some, there it is, that we used to block it off with when we were cleaning the, sorry about bouncing you guys around. This is kind of wet. Just make sure that there's no, at least not excessive crap in the valley here. Let me do this. A little bit of rust, but it'll be okay. Got some carbon junk in there. Let's clean that out. This is grease or lube from the assembly. Got most of that out of there. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on the tripod thingy. We'll see if we can't drop that manifold on and hit it. There you go. Let's see what we can do. Thank goodness it's aluminum. All right. There we go. Nice and lined up and on there. Okay, performer air gap. Intake manifold is on. Put in the intake bolts. We'll come back and show you it all buttoned up. Okay, so not the finished version. You know, it's going to come apart about 2 more times as we get everything together, all the bracketry hooked up. We still got to do the front pieces, but here's a little view of it primarily together with the carb. It's a Holley 650 vacuum secondary electric choke. That's just an air cleaner, an Edelbrock air cleaner I had. We're gonna have different valve covers here, so don't worry too much about those suckers. I don't like them because they have a tendency to leak, and there's no oil fill provision on it, which I would like to have on this. But here's what she's coming down to. She's getting close, real close. We got to stick the distributor in her yet, and all that kind of stuff. We can probably do that now, though. At least just have to line it up. Let's not. We'll do that later because that, you know, you got to line that up with everything. But here's, she's starting to come together. Real quick look. Everything's torqued down on the intake manifold to specified torques. Although I do have to pull these front 2 off because they go into the water jacket, and I forgot to put sealant on them. So on both sides we've got to do that. We'll have to pull those off, put sealant and re-put them on. But other than that, we're in good shape. So a little quick preview. Hopefully we'll hear her go broom pretty soon. All right, well, we'll be back with some more. Good morning, everybody. Beautiful day here in Agawam, Massachusetts. We're back at it with the Corvette. I wanted to come in and just sum up this one, and we're going to terminate this video right here rather than put any more on it because it's just getting too long, and we got some significant things that we got to do. So we'll just move it all into another video. So let me sum up real quick where we're at. Pretty much from the last comments I made, it's all together right here. It's all tightened down. We did put sealant on those front 2, so they're all taken care of, and everything else is together. The side pipes are on, the headers up, the drivetrain's in. Interior wise, let's go over and take a quick look at that. We're still waiting on the final boot to come. We had to order another one, the right one, I might add this time. And we just need to put the terminal ends on the battery and we'll be ready to go. Otherwise, we're cranking along. So we'll go ahead, we'll stop this video right here. We appreciate you, and do all that jazz for me if you will, and watch for the next one. We got a part 3 coming out where we'll finish this up and we'll get this sucker to fire and hopefully turn some wheels with it too. All right, so we appreciate you. Thanks a lot. We'll see you shortly. All right, good morning to you guys. It's what is it, September? It's Friday the 13th, September the 13th. And we're gonna go ahead, and you just saw that video where we said we got more to come, but we're gonna end this video right here where we're at this state where we've got it primarily together, and we're gonna do another video about finishing it up, getting it started and getting the wheels turning on this sucker. So we appreciate you. Watch this video. Let's redo this one because this one is a blooper reel for sure.